Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully you're all doing well. We're getting a little bit of snow, but it's not too bad. Much better than what we had before. Still pretty nice out, 30-some degrees, but this video we've got something a little bit different planned. So this time of year we got to start thinking about rebreeding all of our cows. So we've got a herd of 20-some bulls that we'll breed most of our cows with. But as a lot of you know, we AI our heifers, and then we also just did some genetic tests on all of our heifers last year. So this coming year they'd be 2-year-olds, and we're going to be doing tests on our heifers this year. So they'll be first time calving heifers a year from now when we calve next February. So with the genetic tests that we took on our heifers last year, which are 2-year-olds now, I know it's kind of confusing, but with those we really want to just kind of capitalize on the genetic tests we've got. So we hooked up with Jorgenson Land and Livestock, who actually kind of encouraged us to do the genetic tests on our heifers in the first place. So Jorgenson's, they're one of the biggest bull producers, if not the biggest bull producer in the country. The reason that they really encouraged us to do this is they're trying to build up kind of a database of cows and for their bulls and just of genetics. So they reached out to us and said, hey, we're kind of doing an experiment with a few different ranchers around, just building up some data that we can utilize with our bulls. So what we're doing with them is we got our genetic test done. We can look at our genetic tests, see where we want to make some changes, and then we can go back to them. And they have genetic tests done on all of their bulls. So we can go in, look at our tests, look at the tests of their bulls, and see really where we want to improve our cow herd, what kind of bulls we want to get from them that would really boost up our weaknesses in our herd and kind of keep moving along with our strengths. So we've got Larry coming out right now. He's going to walk us through just some selection of bulls and just kind of how we've gone through that whole process with them. First, Larry, do you just want to kind of give an overview?
Sure.
Of JLC and what you guys are doing with the Agboost and bulls and everything?
You bet. So what we do is with our DNA testing, we incorporate Inherit Select in our commercial heifer selection. So with all the JLC bulls and all the JLC cattle that we run through the system, we have our own genetic evaluation, the ideal beef evaluation.
Okay. And
it was custom designed by Zoetis and JLC for JLC cattle and the multipliers. So what it does, it gives us a really good view of what our cattle are capable of doing. And for us, it gives us a lot better snapshot of what they truly are. We feel that they truly are. Mm-hmm. And gives us more flexibility to create traits and or not create traits, but report traits that are already there. Mm-hmm. that are relevant to us. And if we've got the phenotypes and we've got the genotypes, we can go ahead and then start reporting that trait. But it takes some time. It takes a lot of phenotypes. We take genotypes. We take on every calf that comes through JLC. So we've incorporated Inherit Select through Zoetis, which we sell for Zoetis, to our commercial customers. And of course, Inherit Select is the commercial female test that was developed about 3 or 4 years ago by Zoetis. And it covers 8 different breeds. So all the major breeds, both English and Continental, are in there. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't matter, what genetic makeup the cattle truly are. Zoetis Inherit Select really shows what those cattle are capable of doing, and that's a test that we've run on your heifers. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about it too, not only does it report all the relevant traits that make a good cow, and then what those calves should do in the feed yard, it also gives us a breakdown of what the breed composition is. Mm-hmm. So in this instance, your herd is 49% Angus and about 50% Continental. Mm-hmm. And as we talked about earlier, that pretty much pegs it. That's be about right what they are, because we knew there was a lot of Gelbvieh influence in these heifers, and it shows up now. Simmental, excuse me, Simmental, yeah. So now, and this is breed comp was developed by USDA Meat Animal Research Center. So it's not us saying this is what it is. It's the tried and true Meat Animal Research Center data that's really producing this.
Sure.
So we've taken, what we did was we took all of your data on your heifers, and I know you talked to Nick and Chase about okay, here's our strengths that we don't want to mess up. We want to keep working on those. So you indicated your strengths are yearling height, mature weight, rib, carcass weight, ribeye area, weaning weight, yearling weight, tenderness, foot score, and milk. It's like, that's a great start. There's a few areas that you wanted a little bit more work on. So dry matter intake, feed to gain, birth weight, and IMF, marbling, intermuscular fat. So as we went through it, you indicated it's like, let's hold weaning or yearling weight and weaning weight steady. So we're not going to deviate from that. But if we could improve birth weight and IMF, then that's what we were going to do. So what we did, and then I'll toggle over. So what Chase did was he put bulls that he felt, Chase and Andy both identified bulls that were going to work.
Okay.
There's 94 bulls to pull from.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, how do you pick 2 or 3 bulls from 94 bulls? So we said, we got to simplify this a little bit. So let's focus on the traits that you want to focus on and see if we can whittle that down to get some bulls that are actually going to do what you want to do, but we don't have to go through all 94 of them. So we're going to go over to trait focus, and here's all the bulls that were identified that would work.
That would fit our criteria of what we want.
Your criteria of what would work. So this is the JVIH, and this is the Jorgenson Versatility Index for heifers. This is our heifer index that says basically these are the bulls you want to use on heifers. You know, we've got another one, JVIC, which is cows. And, you know, cows is we're looking more of a terminal cross kind of deal. That's like, okay, we want, especially for heifers, first and foremost, we want a live calf. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So when we started this, Andy or Chase says, well, let's focus on yearling weight first, and we're not going to keep anything less than a 7 because I mean you're really strong in yearling weight, so we know we're not going to go backwards. So we take this bottom bar here and we scoot it up to a 7.
So this would be all 94 head.
This is all 94 head of the bulls that we'd selected, and you see the range on yearling is everything from the 83rd percentile, a 2.5, all the way up to these 2 bulls. They're in the top 2%. So now we're at 7.
The top 2% of the breed?
No, of the evaluation, of JLC's evaluation.
Okay.
So these are just the bulls.
Okay.
So we redefine our selection, and it gives us 42.
Okay.
Okay. So we cut it in about half. But now it's like, okay, let's look at weaning weight, and are there some bulls that we can cut out that aren't going to meet our criteria of going the other way on the weaning weight? So we take this bar again, we drag it up to 7. Oh, come on, there we go. So there's 7. We redefine it again. Now we're at 19. Now we're getting somewhere manageable. So again, you said let's make sure our birth weight is in line. So the last one we're going to click on is birth weight, and it's like, let's make sure they're at least a 5, so that we're not giving up too much birth weight, but we're not adding too much birth weight. So here's 5. So we're going to just go up to 5. Redefine it again. Now we're at 15. So our worst one is at 49%. So you know he could probably come off too. These 2 right here, let's take them off. So now we're at 15. Now are there some bulls that could add IMF without messing up everything else? So let's go to IMF, and guess what? There are some bulls that these down here in the 86th and 90th percentile. We definitely don't want those.
Right.
So let's go hold our IMF to a 7 and redefine again. Now we're at 8. So now you've got 8 bulls, and I think the list I sent you, there was 9 bulls on it. So now out of those 94 bulls, we got it whittled down to 8 or 9.
Sure.
And you know, this bull here for IMF, he's in the top 4%. He's a 9.64. But he meets all our other criteria for birth weight, weaning weight, and yearling weight. So we know, we're not going to go backwards. He's going to really do us a good job. So that may be one of them that you really want to select. The other bull, he's a 9. Plus, again, he meets all of our other criteria. Because remember, we started with 94. Now we're down to 8 or 9. So, but literally, any of these 8 or 9 bulls, he's in the top 30% for marbling. These guys are in the top 20%. So we're not giving up anything here. That's the beauty of it. Where you guys send your calves to the feed yard, literally, no matter which one of these bulls you do, they're going to improve your IMF. Sure. It's going to bring your IMF up in the calves of the heifers, and give you a more marketable product, a year from now. So that's how we basically use Agboost, which Agboost is that's how we report everything. We report everything in our sale catalog with Agboost. And Agboost, the average, so now if we go back to, let's see, if we go back to Animal Focus, guess what? Now we're at a 6.6.
For the overall
bulls.
Okay.
Of those bulls that we've just chosen, we're now at a 6.6 where we were a 5.8 earlier.
Sure.
So, and then again, if we had your heifer data, I think Chase may have sent that. When we test all the heifers, we will always want to make sure we get rid of these, because they're, no matter, we can breed them, we can selectively breed them to much better bulls to increase their calf crop, but in the long run, those are definitely heifers you probably don't want to keep in place.
Sure.
I think that's really, just looking at this whole program of Agboost and kind of evaluating the genetics, that being able to get some of those ones that are maybe the dregs on your herd out of there, because you can't visibly look at them a lot of times and know which ones they are. But they're hurting you and nickel diming you to death, over time in your herd, and you just, to me, that's really where you gain a lot of value, is trying to get the bottom end out of there and moving the bar up a little bit all the time.
And we're always going to have a bottom 10%.
Oh yeah,
but
there's always a 10%.
But I would rather have my bottom 10% with an Agboost score of a 6 or a 7 versus my bottom 10% is a 3 or a 4.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly. Let's move the bar up to a higher bar.
As long as we keep moving our bar up and keep selecting our best genotypic animals. Now we still got to pay attention to phenotype.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. When you guys go through all this evaluation and you get Agboost data back, then do you go compare it to phenotype after that and come out?
Always.
Because to me, they're both important, but you see phenotypes, so you got to go through and make sure their feet and their legs and their structure's fine, and they got the right female build and whatnot.
So what the thing I really like about Agboost and Inherit Select, it doesn't show it here, but we do have foot score in here, overall foot score, and that was they just don't have it in here, but it is reported, and we have noticed a difference. The cattle that rise to the top for foot score, of course, these are the bulls, and we don't have this in JV8 or our evaluation yet, ideal beef evaluation, but it's coming because we've got thousands upon thousands of foot scores. Every bull is foot scored, and all the sale bulls are foot scored. And cows noticeably. We've got genotypes on cows, so if a cow develops bad foot, she gets scored more than once. It's, I don't firmly believe that you can, if a bull's got a foot problem at a yearling, there's definitely a problem. But when do you normally see foot problems? It's when they're 3 or 4 years old.
Right, they could have some age on them.
Yeah, and when they get some age on them and get some problems, then, that's when it's really going to show up. So genetically, we can select for that early on, we should be able to just eliminate that.
Sure.
So you guys as bull producers, you've got all these bulls, and we just selected from all. We just went through our traits, what we want to increase with your guys' bulls. So now from here, you sent us 9 bulls that we can choose from. And now we can either go look at their phenotype, or we can decide which ones we want. And then could you just kind of talk us through the lease?
Sure.
And everything.
So the bulls, I think, I know the bulls that we sent you are all yearling bulls. And let me pull that up again. And what we did was we sent you the ID numbers, so 204, 246, all the way down. We tell you what, if they're from a multiplier herd or are they from our registered calves.
Sure.
And we've got 1, 2, 3 bulls that are registered bulls, would be out of JLC cows. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bulls out of 1 multiplier. We've got an ET calf, and then we've got 2 bulls that their mothers were in the cow sale this fall or last fall.
Okay.
And so basically what we do with the lease is you send in your criteria to Andy. He's the one that is our head bull seller. He probably sells more bulls in the United States than anybody in the world. But you tell him what you want for criteria, and then he pulls those bulls up. And then just like we did here, if we got DNA data, then we match the DNA with the bulls and we whittle it down. When you have 5,000 bulls to go through, you know, it's a pretty daunting task to say, well, here's 250 bulls to go look at. You know, and they're in 5 different pens. And you can imagine tromping through a bullpen on a day like today with, you know, after it's been warm and then it gets covered up with snow again, it gets a little sloppy and calves get a little tough to look at because they're muddy, their ear tags are muddy, and if you can't see their freeze brands, it's, you know, you can get a little frustrated. So, so anyway, you get your bulls selected and then put a down payment down and then work with Andy, get your final selection done, and then basically a lot of people are paying ahead of time. They want to make sure that they get the bulls and there's not any problems, so they're prepaying. A lot of people pay when the bulls arrive. Different ways to do it.
Like we kind of understand. I'm just thinking for people, if they're interested.
So then bulls, yearling bulls and 2-year-old bulls are both leased. You know, 2 different price ranges on them, of course. Get the bulls for 90 days. You know, if you're done with them at 60, call us, we'll come get them. You know, we deliver them, we pick them up. If a bull hurts himself or you can't get along with him or there's a problem, you call us, we come get him, bring you another bull. Like as close as we can to what he is. You know, so you don't
with what you have
with what we've got with what we got left. So and then, you know, bulls come back as yearlings, put them in the feedlot, recondition them, get them back in shape, of course, trick test them and semen evaluate them. Then they go back out as a 2-year-old. When they come back as a 2-year-old, then instead of going to the feedlot, they go out a lot of times to a cover crop. You know, we can't afford to have bulls in the feedlot for 300 days a year. So we kick them out on cover crop. They've kind of got to make a living out there. And then those bulls, once we get them kind of reconditioned, they will go to another feed yard. Last year we had a contract with an outfit in Kansas, and we sent all of our coming 3-year-olds. We call them our smart bulls. We have a smart bull sale in Ideal. It's either the last weekend in September or the first weekend in October, kind of depends on how the days hit. And we sell those coming 3-year-olds. They're really, really popular from basically East Texas all the way to Florida. They really like those bulls. And they don't cost a whole lot. I mean, we're averaging about just under $4,000 on them last year. So but we call them smart bulls because they've been through the system twice. They know how to go out and breed cows. They've got, you know, bigger rumens, so they can handle, you know, the Gulf Coast grass and whatnot. They got a full head of teeth, and they're bigger bulls and they last longer. They just work. We just got done with 2 weeks ago with our inaugural bull sale in Nevada. We were looking to kind of expand our market, and somebody in their infinite wisdom said, hey, let's go to Nevada. So that's what we did. We sold 50 bulls down there, got along really well. We'll be back. I mean, people really liked the way the bulls looked and the whole program. So
Nice.
we'll be sending more bulls down there next year. So, and that's kind of what we do. And then, of course, we've got our yearling sale, our registered sale, is the third Monday in April. So that's coming up, and that's where, you know, all of the seed stock bulls come from. And anybody can show up and buy bulls from there. But we'll have about 200 bulls for sale there.
Okay.
So. Did I tell you about our calf buyback program? We're working on that pretty hard.
Just a little bit.
So what we're doing is we're identifying anybody that is leasing bulls from us or buying bulls from us. We want to know where those calves are selling at, when they sell, what the conditions are. Like Spear had a sale last Thursday, and feedlot we've been working with, just started working with, they bought 2 loads of calves off that sale. We've got our Gulf Coast Classic sale that Superior has the end of March down in Louisiana. We'll probably have close to 3,000 or 4,000 head of calves that are JLC sired. We've got a feedlot that wants to buy those calves. So we're doing some of our own progeny testing. We've already got about 700 calves on feed that we own. We're gonna take them all the way through to the rail, and they've all been IBE tested. So we made predictions like these are your top performers and these are going to be your bottom performers.
So you're collecting data, and then you're going to get carcass data and everything.
We're going to get feedlot data and carcass data, everything.
Everything that you're seeing in genetics.
Yeah,
cool.
Nice.
So we're just kind of requalifying everything. We know it already works. We've got the utmost confidence in it. We know that it works, but in order to sell it to everybody, we felt it was necessary. Here's the real proof. Here's some real life data, and we all know that carcass data so much overrides any ultrasound data or anything else. I mean, it's proof's in the pudding. Now there's some environmental issues that go into that, so you have to, sometimes you have to kind of filter out the noise of some environmental issues. But all in all, we're very confident. The predictions are going to really show what we need to do, and we think it can help establish a whole lot better market for these feeder calves. So we're pretty excited about it. It's a lot of work, but working with some of the guys that sell bulls for us down in Louisiana and Florida and all over those Gulf Coast states, we're gonna have a lot of those calves for sale on Superior that week. And then all of our northern calves, again, we extend it to everybody. It's like, hey, we've got a dedicated web page that says, tell us when your calves sell, because we do have people that are interested in buying them, whether they're feeder calves, whether they're replacement heifers, whether they're bred heifers. Just let us know where they're at and when you're going to sell them, and we'll try to get somebody there. So
Nice.
Well, thank you all for coming along. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys found that interesting. We have found it super interesting just seeing the genetics of our cattle, and then just doing the whole process with Jorgenson's, picking out bulls. They've been super helpful through the whole process, just kind of helping us walk through it. So we'll be ready to just implement this. We're going to be doing our genetic tests on each set of heifers from here on out. So eventually we'll be able to have data on all of our cows, know exactly what all of our cows are like, be able to select bulls according to that, how we want to grow our herd or change things in our herd, change our genetics. This just helps us make leaps and bounds in that area. So if you're interested in doing this with your cows, doing some DNA tests, make sure you look up Agboost. They're super helpful. It's a super easy software to use. I'll put a link in the bio, description of the video, in the comments. And also, if you're interested in working with Jorgensons too, if you want to lease some bulls, if you're interested in some bulls going to their sale, I'll put a link to their website as well. So yeah, again, thank you guys for coming along. Really do appreciate it. We'll have another calving video out here pretty soon. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you in the next one.